Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our second night of HBCU 107 Week, presented by the 107, an organization created to positively promote the nation's historically Black colleges and universities. Today, we are going to be talking to alumni who have found HBCU alumni who have found success in arts and entertainment. We have a great lineup for you. You're going to learn a lot, hopefully hear a few interesting stories in the process. And along the way, understand that any HBCU you attend, whether it be Howard University, like one of our guests, or myself, Grambling State, Paul Quinn, doesn't make a difference. You can get anywhere you want to go from an HBCU. So we're going to jump right in tonight. We're going to kick it off first with an interview with Grambling State alumnus TJ Miller. He is being interviewed by Maurice West, who is a faculty member at Paul Quinn College and also a board member for the 107.
Good evening.
I think we're ready. Mr. Miller, good evening, sir. How are you?
I am outstanding. How about yourself?
I am good, sir. I'll continue to talk while it accesses my camera, but to make sure that we stay respectful of the time, sure. Thank you for joining the HBCU 107 week. We are continually excited to highlight and profile. So the most important thing, or the biggest question, you're a Grambling State University alumnus. Proud
yes,
Grambling University alumnus.
Yes, sir.
So kick it off and tell us your story of why Grambling, how did it impact you, and also your role in the music industry and how that has shaped you.
Sure. Again, my name is TJ Miller. I'm from a small town in Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana, which is about 30 miles away from Grambling. I went to a predominantly Black high school, Carroll, which at that time, they used to call us Baby Grambling. So a lot of us actually just kind of filtered our way to Grambling from Carroll. And so, once I found myself there, I knew that I wanted to be in music initially. Growing up singing gospel and classical music, I found myself with a scholarship at Grambling and graduated in, with a degree in music. And, it was interesting. I went from there to Tennessee State. So I went to two HBCUs. I went to Tennessee State for grad school. And while attending there, back then you had to, this was in the mid 80s. So back then you had to shop your demo tapes around. And we just got, a fraternity brother and myself, we decided, we were tired of shopping demo tapes. So we started our own record label in Nashville. Actually, historically stating that it was one of the first hip hop labels in Nashville back in '87. So from there, it just kind of, snowballed into the music bug bit me. And, and I've been there ever since. From Polygram to Motown, Capitol Records, Universal, Warner Brothers. So, I've been there for a while, and now I'm independent with my own company called Under the Hat, and so that's what we're doing now here in Dallas.
Everyone loves to talk. While we've learned about your journey, let's take naturally a second, and everyone wants to know about like the credibility of a of a person. Who have you worked with? What are those cool stories you've experienced? And why, after so many years, have you continued to be in the music industry? Naturally, you and I, we know that there are some ups and downs, but what has kept you in the music industry? Those people you've helped to transform their careers.
Well, I'll tell you, this record is not for the faint of heart. This business is not for the faint of heart, because it's got some very high highs and some extremely low lows. So, if anyone is out there thinking about doing this, just be ready and, just get ready to work, and always have a secondary plan of attack to get where you're trying to go. Not necessarily a plan B to say, but just another way to get to where you're trying to go, if that makes sense.
Right.
For me, music is all I've really ever known. So, I've tried to go outside of the industry, and it didn't fit me, and I didn't fit it. So I found myself back in music after so many years out of school from the '80s. After an extensive career, all the way up to vice president over at Warner Brothers, vice president at a Universal label. Then once there was a huge paradigm shift in the industry where physical goods went out, and it was all about streaming and downloading, and the digital divide came about. And along with a lot of other individuals, we found ourselves kind of out on the out. So I went back to school because I'm a huge believer in education. I'm a huge believer in continuing to sharpen your tool. So I went back to school, got an MBA in digital marketing, started my own company, Under the Hat, which is a brand marketing and label services company. Because independent artists, they release product through independent distribution sources, but there's no marketing. So I found a niche. And once I found my niche, I just kind of attacked it, and that's where I am now.
It's interesting. I'll put the college administrator dean's hat on for about 30 seconds, everyone. You heard him speak to what he did to get in the music industry. The colleges shaped him, molded him, Grambling State, Tennessee State. But he also transformed himself. He went out into the public sector and went into Fortune 150, Fortune 500 companies, and developed some relationships out of it. Everything wasn't quite right. It wasn't quite wrong, but he took all of that to continue to move him in another space. And someone took my thought, and we'll share it. The MBA in digital marketing, because we're gonna shift. Why that, and how has it benefited you with your experience in the industry in digital marketing?
The industry has basically turned into a digital marketing tech, business. Spotify holds the largest percent of market share where it pertains to streaming sales at about 33%. Literally, there are around the world, globally, there are about 60,000 pieces of product going into Spotify every day. Every day, 60,000 people are putting in product at Spotify. Now, Spotify runs the music industry, but Spotify is not a music company. It's a tech company. So the only way that I could stay relevant and that I could speak to with my, 1985 graduating self to someone who is 26, 27, 24, 23, 19, 17 is to be able to speak that language. And the only way I could speak that language is to understand, what posting on Facebook and posting on Instagram really was all about, and not just am I looking for some old classmates from 1984.
Gotcha.
So I really needed to understand what what all that was, what it meant, and I didn't want to be one of these old guys who's constantly finding some 19-year-old to say, "How do you do this on my phone, son?" So that's one of the reasons why I went back.
Right.
I had to stay relevant.
Yeah. So we've got a full lineup, but certainly we've agreed to some future talk. But I want to wrap this up with one very pertinent question, I believe, that speaks to the week. Why an HBCU for both those who are students interested, as well as a parent, and thinking about and considering where to send their kids to college. Why an HBCU to you, and why HBCUs matter?
HBCUs matter because that's the only time in your life that you are going to be a part of the majority. And not only are you a part of the majority, you are a part of an echelon that, because it's not a ubiquitous situation to where you are cast over here in a corner somewhere. You are among individuals who like-minded and and same people of color, so to say, who have come from every walk of life. Again, I'm from Monroe, Louisiana, but I was, with people from New York, from Chicago, from other experiences, people who have never been to, a school that was, predominantly Black. And that's all I ever knew, from elementary all the way through graduate school. So as far as, why an HBCU is because you can get everything that you can get anywhere else at an HBCU. Now, trust, you do need to do your research, and it has to be the right HBCU for you based on what it is you're looking to do. But, schools like, a Jackson State, schools like Bowie has a great art, program there. Jackson State has a music, program, not just music, but music business program. Florida A&M has a great film, program. So, the internet has allowed you to research things that I couldn't research on Britannica, encyclopedia, back when I was trying to get ready for school. So, an HBCU has everything that you are looking to be about, and it's the only 4, 5, maybe 8 years of your life that you're going to have the opportunity. And trust me, it is an opportunity to be around, people of color, and people of color who are not only doing something at that time, but people who are going to be doing something later. People I went to school with now run radio stations, they run newspapers, they run things. And, those are people that I can pick up the phone and call now because we went to school together. We had experiences at Grambling or at Tennessee State. As a matter of fact, because I'm here, I'm here because of one of my fraternity brothers at Tennessee State. So you can get everything. I don't care what it is you want. You can get everything you want from an HBCU.
Wow. Let me welcome, thank, and also reintroduce, for those that joined in a little bit in the middle, Mr. TJ Miller, MBA, who is a brand executive, the owner of Under the Hat, which is, again, a phenomenal marketing and promotional business that when you get your time, go do research, find him on LinkedIn, find him in the social media settings, and continue to follow him and support him because he is a two-time HBCU graduate, Grambling State University and Tennessee State University. We thank you for your time this evening. We look forward
to for having me
more, and continue to join us at these conversations as we talk about the wonderful work of HBCUs. Ms. Jones?
Absolutely.
Thank you, gentlemen. Definitely loved hearing the story. TJ, I agree with what you said. Find the HBCU for you. I am a firm believer that there is an HBCU for everyone. It might not be Grambling. It might not be Paul Quinn. It might not be my beloved Howard University. But there is an HBCU for everyone. Just do the research. So I'm going to go ahead and close you all out. One of the great things about this week, and part of the work that I do, is helping you do the research so that you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to guess which HBCU is for you. So the 107's website, which you can visit by going to those 107hbcu.org, has a wealth of information available to you. Since we're talking about the arts today, there's some special features on the website that cover the arts. One is 20 top HBCU art programs. So if you are into visual arts, it highlights 20 programs that are outstanding. HBCU opera programs. So if those of you who are interested in music and opera is your thing, there are some HBCUs that have produced quite a few opera people who perform opera performers. And so you can go to an HBCU and pursue a career in opera. Music programs are also highlighted on the website, and For those of you who just love to look at art and enjoy art, study art, they're listing a highlight of some HBCU museums that have wonderful art collections. The majority of HBCUs have a gallery or art museum on their campus. So you should check them out when you get the opportunity because the collections there are amazing. Hampton University actually has the oldest African American museum in the country and one of the oldest, if not the oldest, in the state of Virginia. So there are a lot of opportunities available for you in the art world at an HBCU.
We're a standout school storm. It's like an adopted family. You get that one-on-one relationship with your professor. You go to class, and even if you sit back and don't say anything, they're going to force something out of you because they care and they want to see you succeed. I'm fortunate and grateful and blessed that people here, they care about me. My name is Raynell Crenshaw. My major is applied science with a concentration of pre-medicine, and I'm a volleyball player.
Since we're talking about the arts today, we're going to highlight a couple of HBCU legendary artists. This spotlight is on Ernie Barnes, who was an alumnus of North Carolina Central University. Ernie Barnes actually started off as a professional football player playing in the NFL, but then he decided to pursue his career in art. He's probably best known because of his artwork that he produced for that was used on the show Good Times, including the one that we would always see there, the Sugar Shack, which appeared on the show every episode and was the cover of a Marvin Gaye's album, I Want You. Now we're going to go into another interview that was actually pre-recorded, and it features Brandon McCall, who is an alumnus of Alabama State University. When HBCU alumni and the arts are discussed, typically the conversation tends to focus on a few schools. Howard, Florida A&M, Morehouse tend to dominate the conversation. But Alabama State University has recently started to make a name for itself in the arts. So can you basically give us a little bit of explanation of how you ended up at Alabama State University and what your experience was like there in their program?
Oh, of course. So, I went to Jackson Olin High School in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'll never forget, it was my senior year. And I was torn between, I was a drum major in the band. Okay. So, of course, I had to go somewhere that had a nice band, a black band. And so three of my choices was Miles College. That's where my sister went. And that's where I was able to actually be groomed as a kid drum major. I actually had a chance to perform with them years ago, I think in like 97 or 98. I was like their first kid drum major. And so Miles College was definitely on the list. I also like Jackson State. I like the style of their drum majors and their band. And then, of course, there was Alabama State University, the Alabama State University. And so, but there were other choices that I had to make as far as my career. And in high school, my senior year, I was actually going to major in biology because I wanted to be a pediatrician. And I remember my ninth grade history teacher stopped me in the hallway and she was like, "Hey, Mr. McCall, what do you want to do?" Oh, by this time, I've made my decision to go to Alabama State University. I had a scholarship, academic scholarship, I had a band scholarship, but also knew that they had a good program as far as a good medical program. And they were building it up, and biology was one of the main things that they were focusing on. I was like, well, yeah, I think I'm going to major in biology and become a pediatrician. And I remember her saying, okay, great, because I didn't think that acting thing was going to work out for you. And I was like, oh. Okay, really? And I politely said, thank you. I walked away from her that day and went and changed my major to theater.
It's like the gauntlet was thrown down.
Yeah. Like you're not gonna tell me what I can and cannot do when it comes to chasing my dreams. And at that point, I was really torn between, theater and becoming a pediatrician, only because, everybody puts this thing in your head like, oh, it's not a real career. You need something to fall back on just in case, everything doesn't pan out. I was like, yo, my faith is too big for that. So I'm just gonna hit this ground running, and whatever I want to make happen is gonna happen. Whatever I believe in, whatever I put my faith in, it's gonna happen. And so I chose Alabama State because it was pretty much the only school that had everything that I needed. It had the band, it had the theater program, it had the scholarships, and of course my mom, she was like, yeah, that's where you're going. That's where the money is. That's where you're going.
Follow the money.
So I was like, yeah, that's cool. I had also been to Alabama State. I had big Alabama State influence from middle school through high school. A few of my mentors went to Alabama State University. We always went to Alabama State University's band camp, summer band camp for the high school students. So Alabama State was already in me. I had cousins that went to Alabama State. That's when I was first introduced to it, because my sister actually, she wanted to go to Alabama State. She's my older sister. And so that's when, the buzz really started happening. No pun intended. That's when the buzz started happening. And I was like, okay, Alabama State. So all I knew was Miles and Alabama State at a very young age. And then of course, once I got into band, then I started recognizing Jackson State, Florida A&M, all the big bands, Bethune-Cookman, like there were a lot of bands I was really looking at. I was like, okay, yeah, I just knew I didn't want to do the heel toe marching and all the concert music. Like, no, let's do some concert music. And after that, we got to get down. We got to party. So
hit on side of the bumblebee.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Alabama State, it had everything that I needed. So it was a no-brainer for me that's where I belong and that's where I need to go.
Okay. So tell us about some of the experiences that you had, particularly once you decided that you were going to be a theater major.
My experience was different because I was so busy. I was involved in so much. Band took a lot of my time. So I stayed busy with the band and the theater. Of course, I had to keep my grades up. So I was busy there too. So I had to do a lot of time management. And that's one of the biggest things that really got me through school is managing my time. Of course, my mom was not playing, even in college, like she was not playing about my grades. And, I came from a household where, a C is unacceptable. And so I had to maintain that, I had to maintain that through college as well. Now, granted, college it got a little hard. I had a little something.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I graduated. I had fun. I was able to pledge Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. My experience was it was lovely. The culture, you know what I mean? There's nothing like being around your people that understand you and everything that you're going through.
Right.
I never had to walk the campus and think about was there any prejudice being or hatred being thrown towards me. I never had to worry about that. I never had to worry about their skin color is going to get them ahead. I didn't have to worry about those things. Everyone was in there doing the same hard work. So I like to think, but it's all about culture. And I learned so much more about myself and about my culture that I probably wouldn't have learned anywhere else. Of course, at another HBCU, but outside of HBCU, you don't get those lessons. And it's just like school today, like primary school or, primary school. they're taking those studies out of the schools. They don't want to talk about Black history anymore.
Right.
They don't want to talk about race theory. They're trying to take the books out of schools that even talk about race or talk about civil rights and the times and what our people went through. So, I'm so grateful that I went to a HBCU so I could further my education and my knowledge on my people and our path to where we are now. It's a lot. We got a lot of ways to go. But
Yeah, we do.
we have made much progress, and so I'm so grateful for that. And because of a HBCU, a lot of us are able to hold on to that mantle and to carry out what our ancestors put forth.
Okay, so now you went to the Alabama State University, and you majored in theater. Challenging what your teacher told you, and now look at you going from Birmingham to Broadway.
Yeah.
So we got to wrap it up soon, but can you briefly just tell us about your path? How did you get from graduating to ending up on Broadway, and how do you feel Alabama State prepared you for that
path? Alabama State prepared me because they taught me, one, they gave me the foundation that I needed for my craft. We did a lot of theater, but in those moments, they taught us film acting, and what it's like. So I have to thank, of course, Dr. Tonia Stewart. I have to thank Brian Martin. Also have to thank Anthony Stalker, who really took out time with me my senior year to really get me to where I needed to be as far as an actor. We did so many grad school competitions. We did professional theater competitions. And if I had not had the training I had from Dr. Tennille Stewart, from Mr. Martin, and, especially from Anthony Stalker, I don't think I would be where I am today, because they gave me something that I probably couldn't get anywhere else. Mm-hmm. They gave me life experience. You know what I mean? They taught me how to take life and apply it into a role. They taught me how to tell a story, and how to be true to it. So they really prepared me. They prepared me for the industry as far as, having tough skin, mm-hmm. Being ready for those moments when they do say no. Yeah, they really, really prepared me. If anything, I would say they mold me into who I am today. They sharpen that iron, and now, I'm able to cut deep wherever I go.
Well, I love to hear it, and we look forward to. I know there are other Alabama State University alumni who are performing on Broadway now and are in New York with you, helping to just take on Manhattan. And we look forward to hearing more from you. And hopefully one day we'll see you on that Tony Award stage, recognizing we'll all be shouting out, celebrating with the whole HBCU family.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
All right. All right, so it was great hearing from the Lion King, Brandon McCall, who went from Birmingham all the way to Broadway. Now we have another spotlight on an HBCU legendary artist. This is Anika Noni Rose, who is an alumna of Florida A&M University. Anika Noni Rose is a Tony Award-winning singer, following up on our Brandon McCall, who's performing on Broadway. She's a Tony Award-winning singer and actress whose credits include Caroline or Change, for which she won a Tony Award, Dreamgirls, A Raisin in the Sun, Carmen Jones, Jingle Jangle, and The Princess and the Frog.
Welcome to Howard University.
All right, now we're going to hear we're going from the East Coast to the West Coast. We are going to hear from Howard University alumnus Dallas Jackson, who is a writer and director, and he is going to be interviewed by Lydia Brown, who is a student student at Wiley College. And as I mentioned yesterday, for those of you who were following along, Lydia is a member of the Great Debaters debate team from Wiley College. So they're going to take over.
Well, hello there. Good evening. I am excited and I'm honored for this opportunity to speak with multifaceted writer, film director, and producer, Mr. Dallas Jackson. Welcome. All right.
Hi.
Hi there. So
can you see me okay? Is everything good technically?
It is. I can see you and I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
I
cannot see you, but I can hear you fine. So as long as you can see me, I'm good to go.
Okay. Well, I don't know why you can't see me. Let me click this again just in case. Okay. What about now?
Okay.
Can you see me now? No, still can't see me.
Okay. But it's fine. I can hear you. That's all that matters.
No problem. I'm going to keep the party going here. All right. So Mr. Jackson is a graduate of the Howard University, where he obtained his bachelor's degree in 1994. So Mr. Jackson, time is of the essence. So let's hop right into the questions. Let's take a trip down memory lane, if you would. Tell us about your HBCU experience at Howard in the 90s.
Well, first of all, I went to Howard because of two things: A Different World, the sitcom at the time, and Spike Lee's movie School Days. Yeah. And I had never been to the East Coast. I grew up, born and raised in Denver, and just basically got dropped off at Howard. Our parents didn't have money for a tour, and it changed my life. I got experience to meet people from the East Coast, meet people from down south. I heard the brothers say that it was something where he felt enclosed or encompassed around his own people. Yes. And didn't have to worry about certain things, racism, prejudice. I feel that same sentiment. And just in the 90s, it was a very interesting time. We would have, you look up and see Wesley Snipes on campus, or you see Tribe Called Quest, performing, or someone would come down and preview a movie, New Jack City, or whatever. Like, you would get these really cool pop culture experiences in the midst of getting this fantastic education. And I made friends for life from there. Marlon Wayans and I lived in Drew together. He's still one of my brother's best friends to this day. My brothers from Drew Hall, I'm still tight with. And even in my community now, industry-wise, Anthony Anderson and I are tight. And there's a few other Howard graduates in the business, and it all stemmed from, our time together at Howard.
Awesome. A lot of times people tend to think that attending an HBCU equates to having a smaller experience. And most people don't know that HBCUs have some of the greatest talent that come from all over the globe. And Mr. Jackson, you've worked on all sorts of projects, from Columbia University to Netflix to Stars. How did Howard prepare you for those transitions in your career that elevated you to where you are now?
Well, Howard had a film and television program, and that was one of the big reasons I wanted to go. Spike Lee and Robert Townsend were heroes of mine. Spike Lee went to Morehouse, and there was a film program there, and then there was the legend of Robert Townsend and him making a movie off his credit card. So when I went to Howard, I majored in TV and film, but I also got a chance to intern at BET and make short student films. And so when I got to Los Angeles, I connected with another Howard University graduate, Ken Rance. And because he and I wrote sketch and were campus pals together at Howard, we decided to write a movie together. And we wrote our first movie called Scary Dates. And we got a manager whose name was Topper Carew. He was a Howard graduate. So the HBCU connection was strong. Howard's connection was strong. And Topper helped us sell our first script to 20th Century Fox. And that allowed me and Ken Rance to join the Writers Guild of America, be official screenwriters. And it was all, because of our time spent and our bond from Howard. And that just led to other screenplays getting sold and me having the opportunity to eventually direct a movie. I met John Singleton, and he and I bonded, and he actually told me he wished he went to Howard. As much as he loved
Really?
USC, he missed having that HBCU connection, and he turned me into a director, and I got to direct my first movie in 2017 for Blumhouse called Thriller. It's on Netflix now. But that was all a journey that started from me connecting with fellow minds at Howard, and also gaining representation in Los Angeles from a Howard graduate.
Awesome, awesome. Now, you mentioned John Singleton, one of my favorite directors of all time. Just really love him, and he rest in peace. But now we
Rest
know
in power, absolutely.
Rest in power for sure. Now, we both can agree how critical and crucial it is for Black students to see those type of roles, directing and producing, and see that they exist. And I just want to ask, why is it important to you to provide that level of inspiration?
I had someone inspire me. I had Spike Lee, who went to an HBCU. I had Robert Townsend, who was a Black filmmaker. I had Gordon Parks, who was a Black filmmaker. So there were people that I could look to. And now, hopefully, as I come back to Howard and as I come back to speak on panels like this, provide an inspiration to say to people, you don't have to go to Harvard. You don't have to go to Stanford. In fact, I'm glad that I went to Howard, because Howard led me onto a path that if I had not gone to Howard, I probably wouldn't be fulfilling my dreams right now, because I had to become empowered. And the way I became empowered was in an environment that could empower me. And that is being in an environment with high educated Black folks, people that are going to look like you, that are going to identify with you. And we all come from different backgrounds, but we have one thing in common, which is we're all people of color. We're all Black people of color in this country. And we all have a mission to want to see each other succeed. At least most of us do. So I personally believe that going to Howard and going to an HBCU not only empowers you, it awakens a spirit inside of you that makes you believe in your dream and what you are here to do. And you gain the encouragement and the seed of power by going to an HBCU. And it's basically like, you being a seed and having that environment water that seed and feed it so that you can go out into the world and accomplish your dreams.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds like you're super passionate about making sure that we as HBCU alum and students are readily prepared to enter that field and that industry at the top of the list. Now, what recommendations do you have for college students who wish to pursue a similar path?
I would say start early. If you want to write or direct or act, start to get exposure early, internships, start to connect and network and with people that you would like to follow in their path. I'll also encourage, if you want to be in entertainment, you have to go to where the industry is, which is Los Angeles, New York, or Atlanta. But the industry still functions primarily from Los Angeles. So I always say you have to go to where your dream is. And there is no easy way. There is no hookup. When I first got to LA, I had to work in a mailroom, but the woman hiring me was hiring Howard graduates. And so, and a Howard graduate had let me know about the position open in the mailroom. And that mailroom job led to me being able to write a script, because I was in there at a movie studio delivering scripts, delivering dailies, delivering the trade magazines that the people in the business read every day. So I would say, start networking, start early. Don't wait till you graduate to figure it out. Start to make a plan while you're in undergrad. And part of that as well is start to try to get some type of exposure and intern and whatever it is you want to do, whether you can try to do it in the summertime or on the weekends or whatever, but try to get some exposure in that field that you want to pursue.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it looks like this is just about all the time that we have. This has truly been so informative and inspiring for me. And it's because I am in acting and media and entertainment and those things. So I've been taking so many notes as you've been speaking. So you've been just blessing us with many gems. And I hope that if anyone is watching this, that this is made available to students, that they can utilize these gems. So we thank you for your time, Mr. Jackson. But before we let you go, can you tell us where we can find you on social media?
Yes, I'm on Instagram at DJ Classics with a Z at the end. So it's DJ Classic and then Z. So DJ Classics at Instagram. I'm on Facebook under Dallas Jackson. And my movies are on Netflix. You can watch Thriller on Netflix, and you can watch my second movie, Welcome to Sudden Death, on Netflix. And my new movie, The System, will be coming out this fall with Tyrese and Terrence Howard. And you can follow me on Instagram for some updates on that.
Awesome. So exciting. Thank you again so much for this opportunity and for taking the time out to speak with me and to broadcast this information this evening. I can't wait to explore all these opportunities and share these tips and these gems with my peers as well. Okay.
Thank you for having us, and special shout out to HU alum Leslie Jones for putting this together. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Dallas. Thank you, Lydia. And I got to say, Dallas and I were at Howard together on the yard. Great experience. And yes, we were there at the same time. And I am forever amazed at the things that the people who were at Howard with me are doing in their lives. I can't tell you, I can look up on television pretty much any day and see somebody from Howard University. It's great. And I'm sure those stories are abundant on HBCU campus. It's an amazing experience. So thanks, Dallas. Thanks, Lydia.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Be blessed.
Gold has a special meaning at Norfolk State University. It exemplifies knowledge, hard work, perseverance, and striving towards success. Since 1935, Spartans have walked these grounds ready to take on the challenges of the times, transform lives, and realize dreams. We are a state-of-the-art institution, preparing students to take on the modern world with innovative coursework, experiential learning, and cutting-edge degrees. NSU offers 31 bachelor's degree programs, 15 master's degree programs, and 3 doctoral programs in fields such as cybersecurity, electronic engineering, business, social work, cyber psychology, nursing, computer science, optical engineering, theater arts, and health services management. This is our time, and it's your time to consider one of Virginia's most affordable 4-year universities. At NSU, we see the future in you. The green and gold tradition continues.
All right, so it's a highlights of a couple of our HBCUs located in the Mid-Atlantic region, Virginia Union and Norfolk State University. We're gonna pause for a second. We're gonna be bringing in one of our guests is having a little trouble, but we're gonna switch our schedule up slightly. Moment we're gonna go to first. We're gonna do our raffle for scholarship. Keep in mind that if you're not listening and I call you, then you're gonna miss out. But then we're also going to, once we finish the first calling for the raffle, then I will move into our next interview. So if you were registered for the week and you registered by 9 o'clock, then I have your information. And I'm going to do it's basically a raffle, all the numbers for your registration entered on the computer. And so I'm going to shuffle it. And the computer is going to pick a number that goes with the person. All right. So our number, and I know that you probably don't know what your number is, but the number that I pulled that was selected is 2912-855-669. So I'm going to find out who that belongs to. Hopefully you're listening. If not, somebody listening hopefully knows you, so they can call you. So this number belongs to Tracy Perrin. Tracy Perrin, if you are listening, you have been called. You or your designee has won a $1,000 scholarship. It was donated by an anonymous donor. So we need you to get in touch. You need to send an email to the107.hbcu@gmail.gov. So if Tracy Perrin is listening, you have won a $1,000 scholarship. You need to get in touch within the next couple of minutes by sending an email to the107.hbcu. All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue with our program. And we're going to jump into an interview with Cassius Lanier. Cassius Lanier actually has a very interesting story that he's going to share, but we're spotlighting him because he's not an entertainer, he's not in the arts. He's actually a businessman and a city council member in Tuscaloosa. But we are spotlighting Cassius because Cassius is would be what was considered a non-traditional student. He started his college career, took a little break, and then came back. And he was afforded that opportunity at Stillman College in Tuscaloosa. So he's going to talk with us briefly about that program, what that opportunity was like, and how he feels it better prepared him. There are many HBCUs that are available to offer programs for non-traditional students. So if you're a person, you started college, you didn't finish, you want to go back and finish your degree, there are HBCUs that offer that opportunity. Deion Saunders completed his degree through a program at Talladega College in Alabama. Morehouse College now has an online program for students to complete their degrees as well. And Mr. Lanier completed his degree at Stillman College in Tuscaloosa. So he's going to come on and he's going to tell us his journey and how he feels that Stillman helped benefited him. All right, Cassius, thank you so much for joining us this evening and being flexible.
Thanks for having me.
We had a little change up, but yeah. So I want you to just jump right in and tell us your journey, how you went from being, coming out of high school, got started, paused, came back to it, and what it meant to you to have that opportunity to finish your degree at Stillman.
Thank you for having me, Leslie, and definitely, I started Stillman at the end of '92, fresh out of high school. And, of course, I came from a pretty hype high school here in Tuscaloosa where we're the home of the Crimson Tide. So it's a huge college state, but it's definitely college experience all around. And so when I dove into college, of course, I went to have fun, and that's exactly what I did. Going in, having the experience of HBCU was so different. But I think the teachers that we had at high school kind of drove us that way. It was Alabama A&M, Howard, Morehouse, Stillman, things of that nature. And so when I had the opportunity to go to college, I think I didn't come from a wealthy family, and so I had to take advantage of every financial option that I had. And so at one point, we ran out of money, and of course, life happened, and I had to stop attending school, which was heartbreaking to me at the time. But I think it motivated me to be better prepared when I became grown and successful, so that my kids would even have that worry. They wouldn't have to worry about financial assistance or things of that nature. They would already be set up, and so that's what I was able to do. And so that's what I did. I pursued I never stop hustling. A huge story, but 5 minutes can't change it, because I had, of course, like I said, I didn't come from a wealthy family. I grew up in the projects in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama, and I had a different lifestyle, and so I hit some major bumps in the road. And when I reestablished myself, I think I hustled and got myself together. Started a business that bloomed, and I own my own dealership down here in Tuscaloosa, a nice dealership, and it allowed me to have the money and the freedom to go back, because I was never happy. I attended all the homecomings, so people never knew I went to school with. I mean, people thought I was probably a grad already, but I can't preach graduating to my kids, and it just didn't feel right because I hadn't. So Stillman started a program called STAMP that allowed working adults or business owners and things of that nature to come back and pursue your dream to be a college student, and so, or finish your degree. And so I was getting pressed, and then I wanted to do it anyway, and I jumped dead back into it and took full advantage of it. And man, it's been amazing. My daughter was attending. My sons was attending the University of Alabama. My daughter was attending the University of North Alabama, PWIs, and so I graduated from Stillman, and now my daughter transferred to Stillman College, my HBCU.
Right.
So you already know I was excited about that, and she's getting the HBCU experience, and you just better believe this was our first homecoming together a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
We have a spring homecoming, and it was amazing to share that experience with my kids. So that was amazing.
Wonderful. It sounds like it. And I just want to say, it takes a lot, I think, to start the journey, stop, and then return. And so, in knowing your story and knowing what you've been able to accomplish, even in between, it really says a lot about you and about the type of person that you are. And it's just wonderful that you had the opportunity to return to the place where you started through the STAMP program at Stillman. I got to give a shout out to Dr. Warwick, who's the president there, the first woman president amazing. At Stillman. She is also a Howard grad. She and I are also, she is also an Alpha chapter initiate of Alpha Kappa Alpha, just like I am. Most and definitely. So, she's doing amazing things at Stillman. She was definitely the right person for the job. Came in and just has been helping to transform it. So I'm glad to hear it. Great that you have had this opportunity and that you're doing great things. So thank you so much, Cassius, for sharing your story with us, taking time out of your very clearly very busy schedule to check in with us and talk to us about it. So thank you again, and have a great evening.
Oh, thank you so much.
For more than 150 years, Morgan State University has positioned its graduates to grow the future and lead the world. Morgan students receive a world-class education, engage in meaningful research, and uplift their communities. Over 126 programs conveniently available online or on Morgan's beautiful campus. Designated a national treasure, there's something for everyone. Pursue your purpose, progress in your passions, achieve the promise of career fulfillment. Your Morgan experience awaits. Choose Morgan.
All right, so we have one more interview that we're going to be doing, actually two, but I want to go back and do our raffle again because Ms. Perrin has not checked in with us. So we're going to have to go again and select another person. All right, so I have selected this time the number 2914399169. Now we'll tell you who that belongs to in a second. That number belongs to Julia. It looks like Sabanda, and I might be mispronouncing your name. Julia Sabanda from North Carolina. So if anybody knows Julia from North Carolina, make sure she checks in and gives us a call. If she is not watching, send an email to the107.hbcu@gmail.com. Again, that's Julia Sabanda from North Carolina. Send an email to the107.hbcu@gmail.com. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into our second to last interview. This one is going to take place between Lamontria Edwards of Paul Quinn College and Sherry Shine, who is an alumna of Morris Brown. And wait, hold on. I think we lost Sherry again. So we're going to bring her back in a second. But Sherry Shine is an artist, so we'll get to her story in a minute. But it looks like something happened a moment ago. So I'm going to go ahead and run. We have a recorded interview with Trinity Bass from Howard University and Kirk Whalum, who is a saxophonist and an alum of Texas Southern University.
So, Mr. Whalum, can you tell me about your experience at Texas Southern University? So what are some of your best memories and how that all prepared you for your career as a musician?
I am happy to. And I have to start out with the word politics. And it doesn't mean what you think. When I first got to Texas Southern, one of the first things I heard about and then heard was the band called Politics. And that band was like, I mean, they could really, really play, and they could do anything, from Earth, Wind and Fire to Stevie Wonder to whatever. And so I'm like, man, I'm here to study jazz, but I want to play with this band. And so long story short, I got a chance to play with Politics. They asked me to be a part of the band, and it was kind of like it's one of those things that signified more than it may seem to the average person. It's like, wow, I'm kind of in the big time, in the big league. And that wasn't true, but it felt like it. And so as it turns out, the members of that band from Texas Southern University, and I'll make a point about this, went on to do some amazing things, including touring internationally as opera singers. Two of the musicians are now internationally acclaimed opera singers. Go figure that, right? Out of a kind of a funk band. But the fact that Texas Southern, as is the case with many HBCUs, Texas Southern was the cradle of so much greatness in the music area in particular. In the jazz world, the Crusaders, the Jazz Crusaders, that's Joe Sample, Wilton Felder, people like Hubert and Ronnie Laws, like the Laws family, Eloise Laws. You could go and find a whole lot of greatness that came out of that school, musically and sports and in academics. Barbara Jordan, so many incredible people. So yeah, it started out with Politics, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Awesome. And I think we can say that you are one of those great musicians who came out of Texas Southern University. You've performed with the likes of Barbra Streisand, Luther Vandross, Quincy Jones, and most notably, the wonderful Whitney Houston. So I would just want to know, what was it like performing and recording with those artists? And what are some of your other biggest moments as a saxophonist?
Well, I think, it would be a little boring of me to go back through the list and talk about what it was like to play. It was awesome, right? But I'm going to tell you a quick story. Here's a vignette. I was touring with Whitney Houston. We were we just left Oslo, and now we're in, Barcelona. And in Barcelona, there's the best seafood arguably in the world. We went to an incredible seafood restaurant, but Whitney wasn't with us. I came back and handed the card from this restaurant to Bobby Brown. I said, you have to take Whitney to this restaurant. No questions asked. He said, all right, okay. So they went. Fast forward, Whitney is balled up in the fetal position on the floor of her hotel room, having gotten deathly ill from whatever it was she ate at this restaurant. 40,000 people plus never got to see Whitney Houston sing at that time. And I think for years, I think it was some years after that those people with tickets never got to see her. And I remember that as an example of the things that can happen on the road that you don't get to hear about. But you know, I love her so much, and playing at her funeral was just it was such a life moment for me. I'll never ever forget it.
Wow, that's truly a blessing. And for our last question today, what is your advice that you would give to other HBCU students who are pursuing a career in either performance or music, and to all HBCU students in a general sense?
Yes, believe beyond the boundaries. Believe beyond the boundaries. That's so very important. And you have precedent to do that at HBCUs. The history books are full, overflowing with HBCU graduates and folks who went to HBCUs and didn't graduate, but still went on to greatness because they dared to believe beyond the boundaries. And there's something intrepid about it. And at the time, it feels kind of wacky because you're like, man, am I wasting my time? You know, people out there working in the tech sector, they don't have a degree, blah, 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 blah. You know what? Finish that degree and go on and inspire somebody else to do something awesome.
Thank you so much. That was great advice. And I truly also needed to hear that as an HBCU student. So thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing all of your wisdom and all of your experiences. It was a joy speaking with you.
Thank you so much. Same here, Trinity. Best to you.
Thank you.
All right, that was great. A very interesting story from Kirk Whalum about traveling with Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. And of course, great advice from him on finishing your degree and just about the journey that he had to becoming a successful jazz musician. Next, we are going to hear from visual artist, Sherry Shine, who is an alumna of Morris Brown College. And she is going to be interviewed by Lamontria Edwards, who is a student at Paul Quinn College.
Hello. Hello. It's so beautiful to see you again. How are you? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so she's already done our beautiful introduction. So hello, everyone. My name is Lamontria Edwards. Miss Sherry, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Sherry Shine, and I'm a fiber artist.
Yes, I love it. Look, it makes me want to snap my fingers. So I just want to dive right in. So you've already said that you were just introduced that you were an alumni of Morris Brown College in Atlanta, Georgia. I just want to start off by expressing what was your experience during that time?
It was awesome. I met lots of great people, and we talked about this a little bit. I'm still friends 30 years later with some of those wonderful people that I met there, and we are all connected and, talk to each other and chat with each other actually on a regular basis. So I think that you can definitely build relationships, lasting relationships, at an HBCU. Wonderful place to be.
Yes, ma'am. And I so enjoyed that. And I would love for you to share how long, what is your longest friendship with your girlfriends?
Yeah, so there is roughly about 10 of us, and it's we've been friends for like 30 plus years. So a good, long, hearty relationship. We get together. We've committed now to seeing each other at least once out of the year. Most of us can make it to that. Like I said, some of us travel or fly in to just, check in with each other, see each other face to face, break bread together, talk about old times, how we were on campus and all those kinds of things. So I just had a great time at Morris Brown. I have really fond memories of that place, definitely.
Yes, ma'am. And so I would love for you to share. I think this is really, really interesting. What did you major in when you attended Morris Brown College?
So it was business communications, but after I left school, I just ran an errand with a friend, and My friend's aunt was a quilter, and I just fell in love with quilting. And she said, Sherry, if you buy a $99 sewing machine, because machines were $99 at the time, she said, I'll teach you how to quilt. And so she taught me all of the basics, measuring, cutting, all of those kinds of things. And I just fell in love with it and never looked back. Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. It's so important, exposure and being in different environments. You never know what you'll see and what you'll receive. So I want to also ask you, where are some of your quilts? I know we talked earlier about them being across the country, but could you share some specific places that people can find some of your quilts?
So I just finished a show at the Morris Museum. It was a group exhibit, and I had 3 pieces in that show. I'm in the permanent collection of Michigan State Museum. I work with one of the largest African American galleries in the country, E&S Gallery, and they are located in Louisville, Kentucky. And there are a few Congress people and doctors whose private collections that my work is also in.
Yes, ma'am. That is amazing. It's very rare how I want to point out how you went and finished and got your degree in business, and then now you are spending the rest of your life enjoying your time quilting. Like, that is a phenomenal story. And so I want to talk about, what are some feelings that you feel during your time of quilting? Is it therapeutic for you? Do you come up with new, like, what inspires you as you're quilting? Are you inspired? I just want to know, what is your experience while you're quilting?
Yeah, so we talked about that a little bit. I love telling stories of the African diaspora through my quilts. And, even though the art part of it is fun, behind the scenes, it is a business. I have to think about so many different things in terms of continuing to generate interest in my work.
Yes.
Continuing to find collectors who want to collect my work. And so I do think that some of my HBCU experience, has helped me with those kinds of things now. Of course, I think sometimes when you're in school, you don't think what you're learning may come into play. But all I
Mm.
can say is that, you never know when you're going to need to pull it out of your bag of tricks, or your bag of tools to use, in your future. So, yeah, I think, negotiating a contract or contracts. So a lot of things that I did learn have become the foundation of how I do business now in the
Mm.
art. So, yeah.
That is amazing, because now I love it. I hear, we were talking a little bit earlier about God, but I just can hear that your gifts will really make room for you. And so you got the business skills that you needed, and now you were able to apply that to do what you were called to do and share those stories. So that is phenomenal, Miss Sherry. And then I want to ask you too, what is your best HBCU experience that you could describe for the audience?
So I had some folks at school I had joined, because I was from New York, and we sort of made a little club. And this little club, we wanted to show that we were, even though we were in Atlanta, we wanted to show that we were proud New Yorkers and that we were happy to be in Atlanta. And so we came up with the idea of let's design some sweatshirts. And so it was really a fun time working with the folks that I had met from New York and coming up with the logo, and me being able to help design the logo. So once the word got out, then I actually did sort of some drawings and things and posters for some of the sororities that were there on campus. So that was very exciting to me, to be able to put sort of what I knew I had to work in a different way and to connect. It was another avenue of connecting with people. So
Yes.
again, just wonderful to be able to do that.
Oh, wow. That is phenomenal. I think that is an amazing way for us to end our night. I want to just leave these jewels with our audience is that one, we talked about being able to build relationships during your HBCU experience. And we also talked about what it's like, how business and principal skills can teach you how to take your HBCU experience further. Ms. Sherry, could you tell the audience where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, so I do a lot of posting on Instagram. So it's shine_fibre art. And I'm also on Facebook. So if you look up Sherry Shine, I'll pop up there as well.
Awesome. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on 107 HBCU Week. And my name is Lamontria Edwards. And thank you all so much for tuning in with us this evening.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your story with us, Sherry, and Lamontria for taking the time out to talk to her about it. I got to comment about two things. First, Ms. Shine, of course, is an alumna of Morris Brown College. For those of us who have really been following the HBCU world, we know that about 20 years ago, Morris Brown lost its accreditation. But we also know that thanks to President Dr. Kevin James, who is along with their board and the staff at Morris Brown College, who have been working very, very hard. They became a candidate for accreditation last year, and students are coming back to the campus, and what they call hashtag the hard reset has occurred. So we are excited for that. I also want to add that I am the fortunate owner of a piece of art created by Ms. Shine. It was a surprise gift from my husband for me. We were on vacation, and we know Walter Shannon, who owns the art gallery in Kentucky. My husband saw him at a show and talked to him. And Christmas time, this box showed up with this beautiful piece of work that is now hanging on the wall in my living room. So those of you, if you love artwork, you love Black art, definitely check out Sherry Shine. Go Google E&S Gallery in Kentucky. You will find a lot of her work there. Amazing. My husband said we should have bought like 3 when he bought it because your stuff sells out so fast. So, so we are blessed to have one of your works. So thank you so much. You all have a great evening.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate it.
All right, so two things before we get into our final interview this evening. I have not heard from my second person, so we're gonna try one more thing. I know there's some people watching because I see yours on the screen. I don't know who you are, unfortunately. So because this donor has given $1,000 for a scholarship, and we want to make sure it is given away. For those of you who are watching, unless you are a board member of the 107, then the first person who is registered that sends me an email is going to be awarded this $1,000 scholarship. If you are not in school or getting ready to go to school, it will be presented to your designee. So it might, if you're a parent, you have a child, if you're, cousin, somebody that needs money for school, then we'll do it that way. But send an email to the the107.hbcu@gmail.com. Again, send an email to the107.hbu@gmail.com. And the first person is going to be awarded the scholarship.
I do love what I do for a living. I never dreamed that having this career was possible until I came to UDC. I met a professor when I decided to finish up my degree program. She told me, hey, why don't you go and intern on Capitol Hill? The internship led to being a staffer. I would have never been open up to that opportunity if that professor would have never urged me and said, I see something in you. My UDC experience changed my life. UDC helped me find my possible.
Find your possible. Visit udc.edu/possible to learn more.
All right, so we're going to close out our evening by talking to a student. So everybody else we've been talking to so far have been alumni. They've already graduated, started on their professional journey. But we have the pleasure this evening to talk to Prairie View A&M students, Journey Carter. And Journey's going to talk to us briefly about what she's been working on recently. and we can learn more about how we can support her in her process, in her journey. So in Journey, we can be all involved in Journey's journey. So first, Journey, we hear the term triple threat all the time. We're talking about entertainers. And really, in some ways, that is you. It might not be in terms of singing and dancing, but you have a lot going on, right? You started you have a clothing line, you have an IMDb page, and I checked it out. My daughter and I, you've been on Netflix Family Reunion, which my daughter and I love to watch. You were also in the New Edition story, among other things. And I can't tell you, I grew up on New Edition. I am a fan for life. So the fact that you were in the story, love it. But tell us about what you're doing. And also, before you even jump into that, looking at the opportunities that you have and the things that you're doing, what made you decide to even enroll in an HBCU in the first place?
Hey everyone, I'm Journey. And what made me want to enroll in an HBCU was my want to be more cultured. I grew up in the suburbs, so I grew up around a lot of different type of people. So I wanted to have an education that was surrounded by the same type of support system, my people, people that I could relate to. So that's where the idea came from to go to an HBCU. Plus, I just wanted to. I wanted the experience. Yeah, what was your second question? I forgot.
Oh, just in general, what made you decide to go to, we'll get to the next part, but what made you decide to go to an HBCU? Because a lot of times people think, oh, well, you're already on television, you're already in movies, you're already doing these things. Why go to college? And obviously there's an experience there that you can benefit from. I'm not sure if you were able to hear, because I know you were coming from someplace else before you jumped in with us. The interview with Kirk Whalum, and he talked about the importance of still finishing your degree. And when we were offline with Kirk Whalum, one of the things we talked about was the fact that Megan Thee Stallion, who, as we all know, has made it, at least in terms of her career, doing big things, but she still took the time to finish her degree. So there is, there's a value in it, but everyone doesn't see it. Now, after that, you're enrolled in school, but you're still continuing to do some things. So tell us about your clothing collection and about your pop-up shop. Journey has a pop-up shop that's about to end, that's in the Beverly Center in LA. So tell us about that.
Well, I'm a designer. I design streetwear fashion, and I started this when I was 12. It originally started with hair pieces for little girls with cancer. And as I got older, the business grew with me. So my style changed, who I was changed. So I got more into sweatshirts and sweatpants and t-shirts. And that's where I am now. I'm actually sitting in the back of my store now. And the whole process, having a pop up, having to, be a store owner at such a young age, it's surreal. Like I be sitting back in the store, not even knowing, like it's hard to just take in when so much is moving at once. But I will say that I'm grateful and I love this opportunity. It's a great opportunity. And I pretty much created, the business started with it's okay to be different. And I made that because when I was younger, I struggled with loving my skin, loving my 4C hair. I struggled with knowing who I was. So as I got older, I made different. Different came from the heart. Different came from trying to get people who don't understand that whatever makes them unique, whatever makes them weird or whatever seems like it's not the ordinary is beautiful. There's beauty in that, and you should embrace that. You should embrace everything about yourself because you don't want to hold in your truth. Truth is beauty, truth is freedom. So that's where different and my newest collection, We're Not the Same, is coming from a soft place in my heart, and it goes out to everyone, every somebody who feels like they're weird or they're different.
I love that. And I can tell you, I think most people, particularly teenagers, have gone through a phase where they feel as if not only everybody's different, of course, but not only are they, but they're too different. They're too different to fit in, or they're weird. And so it makes them very uncomfortable. And so it's great that you're helping people to embrace the fact that there's nothing wrong with being weird. Be who you are, celebrate who you are. So tell us about the pop-up shop, how it's been going, and then tell us what your next move is.
The pop-up shop has been going very well. We were actually supposed to be here October to December of 2021, and they extended us to October to March of 2022 this year. And we are actually looking forward to a new extension. So the store is going great. Everything is good. We're actually having our Giving Key collab. I have my Giving Keys. We made Giving Keys this jewelry collection. So Different did a collab with them. If you're in LA, come by and get your Giving Keys. And you know, the future is a process. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to change the store, how things are going to shift. But I will say we're only going up. So I'm excited, and I'm excited for y'all to be on the journey with me.
All right. Thank you so much, John. I'm going to definitely be following you and keeping up with what's going on. And if by chance I'm able to get out to the West Coast anytime soon, I will check in and see how it's going. And hopefully you get an opportunity. Dallas Jackson, who's the director, was on earlier. He's in LA. So hopefully you all will be able to connect on some level and figure out a way that you might be able to work together. I wish you all the best. And I thank you so much for joining us this evening to tell us your journey.
Thank you for having me. This was great. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, guys.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and close out. I did get a few emails. I haven't had a chance to check everything yet, but you will get a notification one way or the other if yours was the first email and you were registered, what the next steps are for the scholarship. And if you were not the first person to send the email in, you'll still get a notification too, so you know about that. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we look forward to connecting with you tomorrow, where we talk to HBCU alumni who are in the communications fields. Have a great evening.